Hey guys, this is Nick Christopher from Mob Tales. Thanks a lot for chiming in. Please like, share, and subscribe. Definitely would appreciate it. Today I got a very special guest, good friend, great guy, all around interesting individual, Joe Bonanno from San Giuseppe Cigars. Hey Joe,
How,
what's good?
how you doing, Nick?
Very good, man. I'm happy to have you on.
Thank-
This is going to be a different kind of a show where we're going to be discussing something different, not what we normally do. I'm going to tell people a little bit about you first before we get into some questions. Um, Joe's a businessman, runs a very interesting cigar brand, San Giuseppe Cigars, which I had the pleasure of attending two of his events, meeting Joe, great guy, phenomenal family man. Cigars are great. I enjoy them a lot. They're very good. And I'm not just saying that, and I've tried a lot of cigars. And San Giuseppe Cigars is very unique in how they go about their process. Um, so first, Joe, I want you to first tell us a little bit about how getting involved in cigars to begin with. Where was the interest?
Well, it kind of stumbled. I've been a cigar aficionado for a long time. The love of cigars has been with me since a young age. My father smoked cigars when I was a little kid. So as I got older, I acquired a taste for them. And just only about 2 years ago, I have a dear friend of mine, Angelo Rios. He actually has some connects down in the Dominican Republic. So I told him I love the cigars. He says, you know what? I have a very dear friend of mine that he's a very influential guy in the area where they make one of the most premium cigars of the world, Santiago region. He says, I want you to introduce him. He's looking forward to meeting you. I told him about you. Long story, I flew down there with him, made the meeting, we hit it off. And my mind lit up. I said, let me start my own cigar brand because it's kind of trendy now. I love to put my name on something that I can pass on to the next generation. And but I always said to myself, it's got to be quality. That's the most important thing. So obviously, I started the company, the San Giuseppe brand. I did my first party, my first launch party. I did a thing at Patricia's a couple of years ago. I think it was just actually this 2 years this month, November. And we went over well. We had a few hundred people showed up, introducing the brand. I have a big network of friends, so they all came out to support, which I'm very dedicated to. And yeah, it was we launched the brand, and what happened was in the interim while I was setting up the cigar business, I was flying down to the DR a couple of times a month because I had to launch the business. I had to get all the legal stuff out of the way, the paperwork, the corporations. And as I was doing that, my driver happens to be my bodyguard driver, my right hand down there now. His name is Willie Reyes, happens to be Jose Reyes' cousin from the New
Oh,
York
wow.
Mets. Jose. So while I was down there, Jose, I actually FaceTimed him because Willie put me on the phone with him, and he says, "Yeah," I heard you're starting a cigar company. He says, "Next time you come down, come to my house. I'd love to meet you." Next trip, a few weeks later, came down there, went to his house, and that was it. We hit it off, and we got friendly. And I said, "Jose, what if I made a cigar under your name? I would love to launch this." He goes, "Yeah, go for it." And that was it. Went back to the factory, started doing some R&D, design work. We designed and patent pended the home plate box that you might see on my website.
Hmm.
Um, it's shaped as a home plate, obviously from baseball, and it's got all of Jose's accolades on it, his card and everything. I made a specific blend for him, and that's it. It took off from there. We had an official launch party about a year ago in August, and then that led into another sports celebrity. We went to Fergie Jenkins, Hall of Famer, and then it went to John Daly, and now soon to be we got Larry Walker from the Colorado Rockies, all the Hall of Famers. Yeah.
And,
So
and Wade Boggs, right?
Wade Boggs is coming soon. I'm actually going to his house. As Wade and his wife Debbie invited me and my fiance to his house in Tampa in this early December. So we're going to his Christmas party, and I'm going to bring him his promo box, and yeah, we're going to make the bond and get everything going. We're probably going to launch his in the spring.
Oh,
You
that
know,
sounds awesome. Okay.
yeah. And then
Now,
what I try to do is I make specific blends for each individual player. We just don't run the same blend. We blending cigars it's an art in itself. And the factory that I acquired, they're about 25, 30 years in the business. So they're they're going like second, third generation over there, rollers. So it's an art, it's not just something you just get into. You have to make a quality product, obviously.
Sure, of course. Well, you have on the band of the San Giuseppe cigars, there is if I'm correct, it's like a family emblem.
Correct.
Correct. And
Coat of
what does that represent exactly?
It's the coat of arms of my family. My last name is Bonanno. We're from Castellamare del Golfo,
Mhm,
which is it's a part in Sicily. It's a little bit off from Palermo.
mhm.
And what I did was I designed that crest based on my family's heritage and past. So we took all the symbols of Sicily, because I'm 100% Sicilian from both sides, my mother and my father's side, and I incorporated that into the label and passed that on. And I made our first blend. Actually, I have one right here. It's called the Castellamare.
Yes,
Castellamare.
I have that one.
Yeah. Great
Yeah.
smoke. We make it in several different sizes. We do it in this is actually a torpedo size. And then we do it in a Robusto, we do it in a Toro, and we do it in we're doing it in a Gordito now. But we're coming out with new stuff. Like I said, we're an infant in the company, and there's a lot of, this business is very competitive, but it's small. It's big, but it's small. Everybody knows each other. And yeah, you have to be, it's very competitive. And it's about putting it brand into people's, everybody's stuck in their own, they're people are creatures of habit. They stay with the same thing. You got to introduce them to something new,
Right.
So
Well, that's an interesting point you just made. Like me, for example, I'm used to, I like Olivia, so I used to smoke those a lot. And
very good.
you're right, I kind of got pigeonholed in that brand. But then when I met you and I got a flavor of San Giuseppe, I like them. I like them a lot, and they do have a unique taste, unique blend, very kind of different.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is how you, like you just mentioned earlier, how you make a different blend for each, like Wade Boggs, for John Daly. How, what makes one different than the other? Like, how do you differentiate?
So basically, it's blending tobaccos. Tobacco is grown in different parts of the world, from Mexico to Dominican Republic to Cuba, as we all know.
Mhm.
Cameroon, Africa, Nicaragua, Honduras, Costa Rica, all those countries grow tobacco. And each country and each region has different soils, different temperatures, and different rainfall amounts. So that, and obviously getting into botany now, well, growing a tobacco plant, depending on the region and the rainfall and the sunshine and the heat, it determines the strength, the potency of the tobacco, obviously, and the
Mhm.
flavor of tobacco. And what we do is, just like most of the major leagues, we blend. We buy different tobaccos from different regions, and we always in our line of cigars, we always use, our fillers are all Dominican. We use at least 2 Dominican fillers. So, for example, the San Giuseppe blend that you're looking at, which is the Torpedo, this is a Habano 2000 wrapper. It's called Habano 2000. It comes from the country of Ecuador, where my fiance is from, and they grow very great tobacco there. I mean, it's just, again, it's the region, the soil, the sunshine content, and it's also the fermentation process which makes that tobacco the different profiles. So growing tobacco it's an art, and then it's also fermenting it. So different regions have different flavors, and combining those into our recipe makes that particular blend.
Right. Well, I'm interested if, like you said, you got involved in this about two years ago, a little bit more than that. Where did you get, I mean, what you're talking about, a lot of people may be like, okay, what the hell is he talking about? Where'd you get
So
all this, where did you learn all this educational value? Where did you learn all this?
I'm a fast learner. I'm a self-taught several businesses in my life. I've been in the garment industry. I've been in the construction business, which I'm still currently in, and I've been in the restaurant business. So I always feel if you're going to go into any business, learn every in and out of that business, whatever it is, and study, read books, ask questions, be around the people that are the experts and learn from them. Absorb it in, take it in, and then process it. And obviously, and that's what it's all self-taught for me. And then again, in the last 2 years, and I'm learning something every day in this business. It's crazy because we're getting into opening different branches of the business now that we're getting. Now that we signed John Daly, he's an influential golfer, and he's friends with President Trump. And I just posted something today. He's with Kid Rock smoking out
Yeah,
cigars.
saw that.
Had our box on yesterday. They're doing a special, and John Daly is very into his brand, and he's been really putting a lot of time into to build up his brand. He's got the John Daly collection, and we're part of that now. So we're kind of blessed to have that with us right now. And yeah, it's just a matter of putting your time in. It's you got to be committed. It's a full-time job. My partner Jason Messina works behind the desk. There's a lot of networking, and there's a lot of stuff going behind the scenes that people don't see. It's not easy. There's a lot of sleepless nights, and building a business is like anything else. You have to be dedicated to it. If you're not, it will fail. So you just put your
100%.
time in every day, and just keep it going. That's it, pretty much.
Right, of course. Well, you had recent two events that I had the pleasure of being at. One at Patricia's and the other one in Massapequa, Picaro. There were two great events, a lot of fun. If you were to compare the two, I know they were both good, but I know Patricia's a little bit different than Picaro's, because I remember you mentioned to me one was a little bit different than the other.
Yeah. No, they got different styles of making the food. I like them both. I give them both their credit. Patricia's is, they have many locations. It's more like a franchise. I think there's managing partners, and original one is from Staten Island, and then there's one in Massachusetts. There's one in Hicksville. There's one in Brooklyn. But they have a great establishment. Their food's very consistent, and they have a great atmosphere. That's the most important thing. Like, you go there, people go for birthday parties, and it's just a fun environment. And Baccaro's is the same thing. Tommy, very dear friends with Tommy and his son. They got a great establishment. They're a mom and pop, but they work that business hard. And the cook Joe, he's phenomenal. Like, I eat there a couple times a week, and it's just one of the best places you go to. It's a neighbor, because I live in Massapequa as well. I live in Pennsylvania and Massapequa, but I go back and forth. But when I'm there, I visit the establishment. They have two different, different styles, but the food on both of them consistent, great. It's just a matter of which one I end up at the night. Which one I go to. But I love them both.
Well, I mean, in the sense of Patricia's was more, I remember you said Piccaro's to you, the event itself was more of an intimate family friend kind of thing, where Patricia's was more wide open.
Open concept. Patricia's more of an open concept, huge environment. More maybe I don't know, I'm trying to think of the word. Yeah, it's just more of an open environment, and Baccaro's is more an intimate, small, low key, in town Massapequa place. But they both have their, they both have their vibe. It's just what it's vanilla chocolate and strawberry. They're really something different. Tomorrow tonight I might eat vanilla. Tomorrow I'll eat chocolate. It just depends.
Yeah,
I like
you're right. You're 100% correct.
too repetitive.
Yeah, correct. Well, when it comes to the different celebrities you've got involved with the product,
Yeah.
have you ever thought of having a woman celebrity? Because women are getting involved in cigars a little bit here and there. Have you ever thought of anybody that would be in mind?
Haven't thought of anybody in mind, but things get thrown across my desk all the time. But I'm open to anything. I would love to have a woman. I think, and you probably know if you follow a lot of cigar pages, more and more women are smoking cigars these days. They really are, and they're taking up the art of cigars, because cigarettes are like becoming, I'm not saying obsolete, but a lot of people are, even the younger generation, are veering to veering towards cigars. And that said, a cigar is an organic product. I mean, there's nothing that makes it but sunshine and water. Literally, from the time we plant that seed in the ground, and that little seedling, a cigar plant is like a grain of pepper. Once we plant that, it buds, and then we roll it into the field, and by the time it plants and grows, that's 3 years before it hits your lips. I mean, before it hits the mouth, it could be
Right.
3 year process. So it's an organic product. You don't inhale it. Yeah, I know there's some kind of, I mean, cigars have been around since the indigenous people from Cuba. When Christopher Columbus went there, when he settled, he went there, and all of a sudden he's seen Indians half naked running around with these big sticks in their hand. Like, what's that? and they told him it's a cigar. He took it back to the European, and they, they preferred. They made it into a cigar. So it's been around for thousands of years, So it's not that it's a anything. It's a natural product. There's no additives. There's no chemicals. There's no pesticides. It is 100% natural. So that's why maybe it's so sought after.
Yeah, well, when you mentioned the different seeds, the different blends you get from Nicaragua, from all these different areas, Dominican Republic, do the price value depend? Like, is it more expensive in one place than in the other place to get?
Yeah,
You know,
it is. It is. It just depends where the tobacco is coming from. Some growers have a um, specific blend that comes out of there, and the way they harvest it, and the way they ferment it. So when that product's finished, yeah, they have it. It's in a demand. So yeah, when people want it, obviously, and it's at a good smoke, and it's smooth, and it's got certain flavor. All of the manufacturers, like myself, we're looking for that tobacco. So then that's how tobacco is a commodity; it goes up and down. You might pay
right.
for a pound of tobacco leaf anywhere from $9 to $29, $35 a pound, depending on where you buy from in the world. So
Wow.
that cigar, so they vary in price. You could go into a cigar shop and buy a cigar for $3. You could buy one for $300, right?
That's true. That's right.
You're depending
Also,
on the makes it.
that's a good. Now, that's a question I want to ask you now. Very
Yeah.
interesting you put that up. When you do go to a cigar store, yes, you have the $10 cigar, then you have the $20 cigar, $30, whatever it is. Now, how do they differentiate the price? How does that
Well,
happen?
again, based when it's fun. There's a lot of variables, and I'm going to tell you one. Like New York State, for example, that we live in New York, 75% of that tax is sales tax from based on the cigar. But if you buy that cigar online from my website, you don't pay that tax. You only pay the sales tax in that state. So that if it's 6% or 8%. So when you buy it over the counter from Joe Blow Cigar Shop in I'm going to say Wantor or Belmore, you're picking it up. If that cigar's $12, it should be 12 times 75%. That's the price that you're walking out of the door, because New York State has a 75% mafia tax on it. I call it. They don't. But they 75%. To me, that's extortion. But that's another for another.
That's,
But
yeah.
Pen-
What?
Pennsylvania and Florida, on the other hand, they just have the regular sale. There's no tax on tobacco. It's just their regular sales tax over the counter. So that's people buy online, like from my website. They buy from these, online, like Cigar International, the big wigs. The They have, those online retailers sell them, and you save a lot of money. For consumer. So, and again, there's also it's name driven too. You buy an Arturo Fuente, or you buy a Cohiba Beehive 56. Well, I know we're varying there, but there's some cigars that'll go from 30. You can buy a Beehive if it's something that it's in demand. You can pay $500 a cigar for it.
That's nuts.
And
Well,
then you can smoke something else, and it could be $15. It could be a great smoke. So
yeah, you're right. You're
gotta
right.
fit in the budget too.
Now, what is this? There's always a big, myth about how Cuban cigars are the elite. They're the best. Now, what is that? I've tried a Cuban cigar and I've tried Dominican. I don't really see much of a difference. I actually like the Dominican better. What What is this big thing
Well,
with Cuban cigars?
first of all, when something's illegal, it always becomes more expensive when you can't have it, right? So if
Right?
I can't fly to Cuba and come back with cigars, and it's going to be illegal, then you're going to want it more. So that's one aspect of it. But to give them credit, Cuba has very, very good tobacco. I mean, they make very good cigars. I mean, they
Mm.
are one of the originators in the business. Like, they're the OGs, if you want to say. But the only thing about Cuba that I could say, and again, I haven't been to Cuba in years. I was there years ago before I was in the cigar business. They're very unorganized. You remember, it's a communist country, and a lot of those factories, they're communist run. They're run by the government. They don't have the quality control standards like we do in the Dominican Republic. A lot of Cuban, like for the Fuente, Arturo Fuente is one of the biggest cigar manufacturers in the world, and they're Cuban descent. The father came here from Cuba because he didn't want to live under the regime. Came to the United. Well, first he went to other countries, then he came to the United States, and they hung their hat here, and then they ran it from there. And now they're one of the largest cigar manufacturers in the world, but they make them in the Dominican Republic because he realized that the DR is the closest thing to Cuba when it comes to the soil, climate, and the region. So why
Right.
not a country that I don't have to worry about getting arrested for walking down the street? So, this is what these guys did. They didn't want to live under that ridicule, so they came to a safe country like the Dominican Republic, and that's the reason why I'm there as well. You know.
Okay. Again, just going back to the celebrity end of it, most of the guys you had are sports people. Have you ever thought of maybe actors, or
Yeah.
maybe if against sports, how about hockey players?
Yes, we did. We just currently had some talks with a hockey player from the New Jersey Devils, Ken Danico, and we're throwing it around. We're probably going to be doing something with him in the future, hopefully. And actors too. It just depends, we're not prejudiced to anything. We'll do actors, we'll do a gymnast. I mean, but it's got to fit the personality, right? I mean,
Right.
you
Yes.
that's doing backflips and say, "Oh, I want a cigar in the minute." Most of the retired athletes, sports stars, like I'm saying, like Michael Jordan, obviously, he's a big cigar smoker, but guys like that are retired, more distinguished. They fit the profile, and that's what we've been getting: retired baseball players, guys that show their accomplishments. They put their time in. They're 20 years retired, made a lot of money. Now they're sitting back and enjoying a cigar every night after enjoying their accomplishments, so that's really what it's about, I think. And that's what the image is, even for the younger generations. It's a symbol of success in a way,
Mhm.
just like I'm smoking a cigar to smoke, but it's a relaxing. The cigar is something that you can sit down. I smoke with my father all the time. We sit on the porch and we smoke a cigar and we talk about life and business, family. You commiserate and comrade with it. It's a camaraderie type of thing. So
Yes, I
it's
agree.
and it relaxes you.
Well, have you ever thought? I know this may sound nuts, but have you ever thought of having a San Giuseppe cigar lounge?
We are, yeah. We're actually in talks with it right now. We have a lot of people that are interested in making like a San Giuseppe lunch. And I've been in talks with some, I don't want to mention names, but we've been talking about doing some in Florida, doing a cigar lounge, restaurant, bar, something like, there's a lot of them in Florida, they're
Mhm.
easier to afford because of the laws. And yeah, we're going to do something like that. Maybe do like a major league cigar type of thing down there with all the VIP player rooms and, for corporate parties and stuff like that. So yeah, we're in talks. It's just how much could you do, right? I mean,
Yeah, I know. Such a short
I'm
time.
only 2 years and I'm thinking like 10 years out. But and I say times it's amazing. I say to my partner, I said, what I did in 2 years, I started this company, and where we are now, where are we going to be in another 2 years, right? So we just got to focus. I always say, just keep focusing on positive stuff. Don't get sidetracked with all the white noise, I call it, and just keep focused. Keep your eye on the prize. And I always say that at the end of the day, make a quality product. That you cannot. I always tell my partners, do not put a silk scarf over a pig's head. You have to make quality because it's such a competitive business. Because your candle will eventually burn out. And if you don't make a quality product, I'd rather make a quality product, sell half the amount, and sell it at the right price than make volume and just sell cigars and then people smoking them and throwing them in the garbage. That's not what we're looking for. We're making quality all the way. That's our model.
Oh, so what's coming up right now for San Giuseppe? I think you guys got an event coming up in this month or next month or something like that. I remember
You
you
know,
said.
get it, but if you go into sangiuseppecigars.com on my Instagram, you'll see it because my partner he posts the stuff all the time. We're constantly booking parties. People are calling and say, Joe, could you do a cigar event for us? We just did one over at the new General Cigar Lounge in Eisenhower Park. It used to be the old Pelican. And now I'm actually selling my cigars there. I retail them there, and I got very friendly with the owners and the managers. Great establishment, high end. It's a private club. You have to some membership fee to join, but great establishment. And you could go up there on a Tuesday night, light up a cigar, have a cognac, and maybe eat a little dessert or dinner or coffee, whatever you want. And not many places in New York you could do that. It's one of very few.
Oh
So
yeah, that's for sure.
but as far as events, yeah, and we do. We got them all. We got them all the time. We're flying. Like I'm going to Wade Boggs' house in a couple of weeks. We're going down for his Christmas party, and We just came back with John Daly. We were in Orlando, Florida, doing a golf thing with him and a promotional thing for the C stores, because now we're getting into distribution with the brand, with the John Daly brand. It's starting to take off nicely. So we got a lot of stuff going on. So we're just like, we go where we need to. I look at the schedule, and if I have to fly out next Tuesday, I fly. That's just the way it is, you know.
Right, okay. Well, if you were to, if you were to, if you want to do something that you haven't done yet, what would you want to do?
In regards to what? To the cigar business?
Yeah, the cigar, well, it's for San Giuseppe Cigars. Is it something that you
I would
haven't
like
in your mind, you haven't done yet, that you would like to do?
my goal is to definitely open up a place, a cigar lounge, a restaurant and bar, and it's definitely going to be in the Florida area. You know, maybe Delray, Palm Beach County. That's where we're targeting right now. I know it's so premature to talk, but that's the idea, and getting the investors together and stuff like that. I have a few investors that are interested. So yeah, or maybe finding a place that was a restaurant. I can take it, renovate it. I'm a contractor too. I'm a construction business. So for me, I can build out the place like that. It's not a problem. An engineer, I'll engineer the whole job. So that's the easy part. It's just finding the place, and it's the right timing. Right now, we're concentrating on getting the brand out there. Once the brand's out there, then we can open up our own, you know, restaurant. We'll do a humidor, walk-in humidor, a nice place, really high-end, classy place. You know,
Well, you're thinking of Florida. What about New York? Just Florida's like your.
yeah. The laws in New York just won't allow us to do what we want. You'll never get the licensing. The only thing we'll be able to do in New York is open up a cigar lounge, but that's not our goal. We want to do you have to do three components: cigars, eating, and drinking. That's the only way it could be done. And the only place you could do it is either in the state where I'm in now, in Pennsylvania. There's a few states, but it'll either be PA or Florida. But Florida is just the happening place. You know, it's where
Yeah.
everybody's around. The weather's nice. You got weather all good all year round. I mean, I know it gets hot in the summer, but you have all year round play guys that sit outside and smoke a cigar. So that's
Right.
the place.
It's more
Now,
susceptible. Yeah, I agree.
keep it on the East Coast instead of flying to Texas or somewhere else. Obviously, I'm from the East Coast.
Don't let me fly too far now.
Yeah, I was in Florida. You could jump on a JetBlue flight for a couple of $100, you know.
There you go. Well, Joe, listen, it's been a pleasure having you. I
You too,
really
Nick.
appreciate your time, and I do like your cigar, and I enjoy it. And I think everybody that's listening, definitely grab San Giuseppe Cigar. Go check out the website. You can definitely get the information, buy the cigars, and whichever you have all the other ones. You have the John Daly, the Jose Reyes.
Yeah, we got Fergie Jenkins, Jose Reyes, John Dale. These are all different blends now. So JD, John Daly, we got the long and the short game. We got the line, and it's called the short game. The Jose Reyes, we have the limited edition. Then we have called the regular season. Fergie Jenkins, we have the one, and then we're just doing Larry Walkers now, and then soon to be Wade Boggs. And also, I have a friend of mine, Big Joe Gambino. I don't know if you know this. He's on the.
Yeah.
I'm making a blend for Big Joe Gambino now, and he wants something. We're gonna do like a private label for him, and he's gonna start marketing his own label. It's gonna have the San Giuseppe name, but with his second band with his name on it. We're gonna do a Grodo, so we're gonna introduce a different cigar that I don't have on my lineup, and put it under his name and see how it does. You know?
That's funny. They'll go to those Big Joe. I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty
He
funny.
loves it. Fan, and we're a big fan of him too. He's a sweetheart of a guy, and I always say I'm only going to work with people I like. If I don't like you, I'm not working with you. You got to have good energy. It's all about energy, you know.
That's right. You got that right. That's true. Well, again, thank you very much, Joe. I appreciate it.
You're
And
welcome.
I'll be hopefully seeing you soon.
Yes, you too. I'll keep you posted on our future events, and looking forward to seeing you, Nick.
Please do. Thank you,
Thank
Joe.
you. Take care. Bye bye.
Everybody.